Hi everyone, Highlander here. Today we are facing off on another one of the custom game achievements, that is to defeat 2 insane AI at the same time. Also called the Menage a Trois achievement. We jump into that right here. Now the map that we've chosen here is Tempest, and there's a very good reason we've chosen Tempest. First off, we have our 2 insane AI in very, very close positions to each other, but nonetheless separate. So we have a Nexus here, mineral lines for one lot, Nexus, mineral lines, and then we have a low ground position that divides the 2 players, but is also close to both of their Nexuses and mineral lines, which is just perfect. It makes it very easy to keep them separated, divide and conquer as it goes, but also means that we can establish our little low ground position with our photon cannons, and then it's a very small hop, skip and a jump over to the Nexus. So we take out probe, we've pulled him off the line right away, and we build a pylon on the low ground. We want that to cover as much high ground as possible, keeping in mind we're moving towards this Nexus. And the reason for that is so that we can use the minimum number of pylons in the high ground. After we get that pylon up, build a forge as soon as you can. And you might be looking at this thinking, but Highlander, this is a 8-player map. They could be anywhere. Well, I design all my achievements to be as easy to complete as possible. So if you're having trouble with this achievement and you find that the first position you scout doesn't actually have your opponent, then don't worry about it. Just re-roll and just keep trying again and again until you get the easiest possible scenario for you to face. If you aren't having that much trouble with it, then you can definitely defeat this achievement on this map, going to subsequent positions, or you can just pick a different map. If you were going to go for one of those subsequent positions, I would suggest, rather than building a pylon here, obviously, you would take that probe and go and plan to build a proxy pylon wherever you do find them. And while you're waiting, build a pylon at home and get a forge up at home. That'll allow you to keep producing probes, and that'll speed things up once you do get established. And it'll also mean you can get straight into cannons right away rather than waiting for a forge at the other end. Do note that you should always use a chrono boost whenever you can, even if it's only going to be training part of one probe. You're going to have nothing to spend that energy on later. So if it saves 2 seconds and it means you get an extra 2 seconds of mining time, then that's great. Now I'm just going to go back one quick step here and show you a little something. So these 2 cannons that you build on the low ground, as soon as your forge gets up, should be built about 10 to 15 seconds apart. And before that first one completes, build a structure on the high ground. All the probes go, whoa, danger, danger, and they go and try to attack that structure on the high ground. They can't handle it. But as soon as they see one cannon, they go, oh, one cannon, we can take that. So they'll all charge around to try and fight that one cannon. Even if a cannon is 10 seconds, 2 seconds away from being completed, they'll start charging towards that one cannon. And you can see how I've designed my structure layout so that that first cannon is very hard to attack. Then, as soon as that second cannon gets up, I think it's something that the Union negotiated for all the Protoss probes, but they won't engage 2 cannons at once. They refuse to do so, they won't go there. So if that means that they're in this position and they've walked all the way around, then they will run away from those 2 cannons, and you can even trap the probes outside of the base because they're unwilling to run the gauntlet of 2 cannons at once. So that's great. 2 cannons are all you need, and then you're just waiting for that next cannon to complete, and you get 2 cannons on the high ground and just start leapfrogging towards the Nexus by getting cannons, pylons, as long as and as far as you need to. And we'll just pick up the pace here because this is fairly straightforward. As soon as you lock down this Nexus and mineral line, that's all you need. And you don't need to have it completely done. All you need is to know that that Nexus is going to fall in the near future. So I've got 2 cannons up. They're going to be able to hold themselves, they're going to be able to protect themselves from enemy units, and they're going to be able to pick on that Nexus as soon as they choose to do so. And that's fine. I know this Nexus is going to fall. I know I've disrupted all the mining, or I will be disrupting all the mining, and that's all I need to see from this end. In the meantime, rather than consolidating this position, I'm going to move straight on to the enemy AI that I haven't touched yet. And that's really important because the longer you delay on approaching that AI, the more problems you're going to have with trying to defeat them. Get cannons up, get in on the low ground, then start moving into a high ground position wherever you can. The important thing for you to be aware of here is that sometimes it can be very tempting when you've got 300 minerals banked up to build cannons in positions that probably help but aren't really great. So if that's the case, try not to. Try and build as few cannons in dumb positions as you can, and spend that money on some extra probes instead. It means that once you've got your pylons up where you really want your cannons to be, you'll be able to spend more money on cannons, and it'll keep you from running out of steam as the game goes on. And you can see it wasn't too hard to hold this high position at all. One tricky note to be mindful of, this robotics facility, sometimes it might start building an immortal, and if the enemy starts getting immortals, that actually can be a bit troublesome. The immortals are really quite good against the photon cannons, especially since patch 1.4 where they've gotten that range upgrade. So if that's the case, they don't always build immortals, so don't worry. You might have lost the first game, you can just keep try again until they don't build immortals, because they definitely don't build it every game, and you can see they've ingeniously decided to build a forever Colossus that will never ever come to life. So that's all there is for this achievement, guys. You can just see it's once again leapfrogging, and because I'm taking out the second opponent, being a little bit more conservative as I go, with a few extra cannons per pylon. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did find it helpful, please press like. It definitely helps my videos to get noticed. And if you want to see more of this kind of stuff, please do subscribe to the channel. It really does make my day. And otherwise, best of luck.
Moo.